Good morning, everyone. I'm the Reverend Kevin Tarsa. Thank you for being here. I know that the first choice for many of you would have been to meet in the park. Oh, I hope and trust that we will come down the backside of this current Delta spike in the county soon and be more responsibly able to meet in the flesh. You may have seen John O'Donoghue's words in the pre-service slides just a moment ago, a quote that Cheryl Morris found. O'Donoghue wrote, "I would love to live like a river flows, carried by the surprise of its own unfolding." This morning, as we have all pandemic long, we will seek to live like a river flows, to go with the flow, as they say. I'm here with Cheryl Morris, our primary worship associate today, who's been working with Gail Vaughan, Lindsay Dunkel, Randy McKeon, Siobhan Boylan, Jordan Thomas Rose, and Bob Miller and Gary Lauer behind the scenes on our sound and audio visual this morning, with Beth Carroll hosting as she does each week the chat. You are welcome to have your camera on, and in fact, I will very explicitly invite you to turn your camera on if you are willing later. I'm sure that one of our interim phases will be to get small groups of you here in the room with us on Sunday mornings to join those of us who are participating in the service. I look forward to that unfolding. Meanwhile, we gather in these ways that we can, inviting each other to become part of this caravan that is not a caravan of despair, despite everything, but rather a caravan, a community of meaning and hope. In the words of the 13th century Sufi Islamic poet, a religious tradition that emphasizes the mercy of Allah, though you've broken your vow 1,000 times, come, my friend, come.
broken your vows 10,000 times. Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Community of the Mountains in Grass Valley, California. Sadly, we are not meeting together in the park today. I am learning that this congregation is both thoughtful and nimble in changing plans and rising to whatever occasion presents itself. My name is Cheryl Morris, and I'm honored to be your brand new worship associate. Also, pretty much a brand new church member. Probably no one is more surprised than I am that I'm standing here this morning. This is the first official Sunday of the new church year, and traditionally it includes the water communion. This would have been my first time being part of that ceremony, and I love the idea of portraying our interconnectedness by merging our individual containers of water into one large bowl. Right now, though, thinking about water leads me in a different direction. I think of tears for what is lost or unreachable at this moment. But I also think of water washing away pain and sadness, leaving me peaceful and refreshed. When I smelled the rain on Friday morning, I felt a huge wave of relief and, yes, hope. We continue to explore the September theme, what does it mean to be a people embracing possibility? It occurs to me that I may be an unintentional poster child for this theme. My presence here started with the pandemic, which shut down so many of my usual activities and sent me looking for new possibilities. I grew up in a mainstream Protestant church and had no church affiliation as an adult. I have always been interested in other religions and cultures. It occurred to me that there might be a church that spoke to me and allowed space for my somewhat eclectic beliefs and practices. Like everybody else, I mastered Zoom, and it was very easy to visit various churches on Sunday mornings. I was drawn to UUCM immediately. As time went on, I participated in the Starting Point series, and then moved on to a Soul Matters circle. Each step of the way, I felt seen and welcomed. I became a member before ever attending an in-person service. I hope you find many ways to embrace the possibilities in your life as it is in this moment. Whatever your background, age, race, income level, or how you identify, you are welcome here. Whether you are a long-term member, an occasional attendee, or a first-time visitor like I was not very long ago, I am so glad you are with us this morning.
So, a lighting of the chalice by Gail Vaughan. We feel empty. We feel too full of what we don't want. We have a reservoir inside that keeps us full. We are a tap from which others can draw. We are community, and we return again, bringing light to shine our way.
The name Nisenan is the name local indigenous people have long used to refer to themselves. From the plural pronoun Nisenan, it means from among us. In our commitment to be in right relationship with the descendants of this area's indigenous people, we place a small basket of black oak acorns on our altar each week. In so doing, we acknowledge the Nisenan people are still here among us today, though they are nearly invisible, and their story continues to be excluded from history. We understand we are on Nisenan land that was never ceded, and the original tribal families have yet to recover from the near genocide of their people. As residents or visitors in Nisenan land, we support the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan tribe in their efforts to stabilize their people, as well as the campaign to restore tribal sovereignty through federal recognition.
Thirsty by Gregory Pelly, and We Gather as Many Drops by Leslie Takahashi. And so we gather from the ebb and flow of our lives, thirsty for connection to ourselves, thirsty for connection to others, thirsty for connection to the larger life. We gather as many drops, each winding our own path down life's surfaces and ruts. Here, we pool together as a single body, flowing together for a time. Together, we are a stream, at times even a river, for with our shared force, we can travel toward oceans of meaning and seas of connection. As we light this chalice, may all who gather here be filled with joy and hope, filled with compassion and love. Here, may we be filled so that we may pour ourselves out into the world.
There is a story. There is a story
Of a glass that is half full.
Or half empty, depending on how you look at it.
There is a story of a glass that is
Half full and half empty.
half full and half empty. There is a story. There is a story from the Zen Buddhist tradition of a very wise teacher. People from far and near would seek the teacher's counsel and ask for wisdom, especially when their lives were difficult. The teacher seldom turned anyone away. One day, a professor arrived, a person who had studied many, many subjects and who had tried many, many practices seeking answers. "Please teach me about Zen," the professor asked. And the wise Zen teacher smiled and said that they should discuss the matter over a cup of tea. When the tea was served, the wise teacher poured the visitor a cup. The teacher poured and poured and poured and the tea rose to the brim and began to spill over onto the table. The professor watched the overflow until they could no longer restrain themselves. It is over full. No more will go in. The wise teacher stopped pouring and smiled at their guest. Like this cup, the teacher said, you are full of your own opinions, speculations, expectations, and certainties. How can I show you Zen unless you first empty your cup? There is a story. There is a story from the wise Reverend Carol Sissel, another story of an overfull cup. The familiar metaphor is that we give to others from our own cup, pouring out what we have to serve others. This means that we have to keep adding to our own cup so that we have something to give. We can't give or serve others if we ourselves are empty. This is true. However, Reverend Carol encourages us not only to fill our cup, but to keep filling it till it overflows. Yes, on purpose. Reverend Carol invites us to realize that underneath the cup, there is a saucer that holds us and that can hold some of the extra. Don't give from a cup that is getting more and more empty, teaches Reverend Carol. Remember the saucer. First, feed your spirit. Let your heart keep filling, 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 till it overflows into the saucer. And then give from the saucer that holds the abundance while your cup stays full. There is a story. Yes, there is one more story. A story of a bowl of water. Water for many people and places. 41 years ago, Unitarian Universalist women from around the continent gathered to explore their experience of religion, their understanding of religion. Two of the women, Carolyn McDade and Lucille Shuck Longview, were asked to create a special service for the women who would gather. They called the service Coming Home Like Rivers to the Sea. They wanted to create a new ritual that spoke to their connectedness to one another, to life, and to our place on this planet. They wanted to use a new inclusive symbol of women's spirituality, water. They asked 8 different women, each coming from distant places, to bring water. And they did. Water from the Rio Grande, water from the Assiniboine River, rainwater from Maryland, water from the Pacific Ocean, water from the Atlantic Ocean, and others were poured and poured into the bowl as each bearer described its significance. So powerful was this ritual that the women took it back to share the idea with their home communities. And people in Unitarian Universalist congregations across the continent began holding water rituals each year. Congregations like this one, to speak to our connectedness to one another, to life, and to our place on this planet. People bring water from their homes, from their favorite places, from their travels, from where they were born. They pour their many individual waters into one common bowl. They speak of the meaning of their particular water and remind one another each year that we are not alone, that every one of us brings beautiful and sustaining gifts to create and sustain community, that together we are more than we can be separately, that we can draw from our shared well, that in community we come home again and again, like rivers to the sea. There is a story right in this moment, a changing, flowing, undulating story that includes your story too. We'll take some time a little bit later in the service to explore some of the deep losses we've been feeling during the pandemic. Right now, we take the time we do every week to explore our hearts, to feel, to notice what we're carrying and who we're carrying. I invite you to listen deeply within for the joys, the sorrows, the worries, the concerns, the hopes that you hold in your heart. And if you wish, I invite you during the gentle music to type them into the chat so that we might be witnesses to what you are experiencing and so that we might hold each other. During that time, Cheryl will light a couple candles here, one for all those suffering from the effects of COVID, the rippling effects of COVID, and one for all the rest that we hold. Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Return again, Return to the home of your soul. Return to who you are. Return to what you are. Return to where you are born and reborn again. Return again. Return again. Return to the home of your soul. Our Jewish friends and neighbors, and some of you, are in the midst of celebrating the High Holy Days, the introspective days between Rosh Hashanah, the beginning of the Jewish year, a celebration of the beginning of all that is, in fact, and Yom Kippur, a time of reflection, fasting, prayer, cleansing, healing, to prepare for the year ahead. A time to return to the home or the land of one's soul. Shana Tova, good year to you. The ultimate goal of this season, says Rabbi David Azen from up the hill, is to gain sufficient inner strength to choose a proactive and positive response to life rather than reeling from thing to thing in a reactive manner. The creation of the world, he points out, did not go as planned. This is a new year of sorts in our tradition as well, rooted in the past when people regathered from summers away or summers otherwise occupied. As Cheryl noted, and as we shared in the Wisdom for All Ages time, a ritual has taken root in Unitarian Universalist communities to celebrate this annual time of regathering. People are invited to bring water from their home or from a special meaningful place to pool within a common bowl, symbolic of the nature of community, of varied waters flowing together for the sustenance of all. So, as we flow, go with the flow this morning, flow like a river today, we'll save that particular ritual for later, soon I hope, when we can meet and embody that regathering more fully. We'll invite today's introspection and ritual to take us along a different path, to recognize and honor the losses we have felt in this past year or so, or recently. As Cheryl said, the pooling of water can also speak of tears, as well as the washing away of pain and sadness. It is, in fact, good preparation for a deeper and more open regathering. I'll suggest once again that this is a necessary part of finding our way to embracing possibility, our theme for the month. The wisdom is not new. I've shared it several times before, but it's wisdom that must be lived anew in each experience. We took time in the service in the park in July to acknowledge the losses we were feeling. And since then, the Delta variant of the COVID-19 virus and the fires near and not very far, the smoke, among many other things, have worried us, have brought us to a different place. I know that many of you are feeling weary and disappointed and weighted down with all that brings you worry. Thank goodness, as people noted, for the beautiful rain and the cooler, clearer air this weekend. We had at least a partial reprieve in one area of our lives. If we're to flow like a river, as we will need to, carried by the surprise of our own unfolding, if we're to embrace possibility fully, there are two steps that must come first, according to one of my wise teachers. John Snyder gave his lifetime energies to helping very deeply traumatized and grief-stricken people from around the world to find their way forward after pain and loss few of us can comprehend. People traumatized by genocide, murdered families, torture. Grief can be powerfully transformative, he taught, even after the most painful losses, but only if we allow it to be. People want to move toward hope and possibility naturally, but that cannot happen, he taught, unless we find our way through three sets of discoveries: what is lost, what is left, And then, and only then, what is possible. Today and next Sunday, we'll walk through those first two discoveries so that we might be best prepared to discover and live into what's possible in this new era. We begin with the first task, which is to discover how extensive the loss is. You might think that it is already clear what you've lost, but John invites us to go beyond the temporary and beyond the surface. Yes, what have we missed and missed out on? And beyond that, what is no longer present? What is truly no longer available to us? What is no longer possible no matter how much we want it to be? In other words, what have we lost forever? Be honest and tender with that list, he invites, and thorough. Write it down, he suggests. Make a list for yourself. Might be the loss of a loved one, a loss of certainty that democracy will survive in the United States, the loss of being with someone as they were suffering or dying when COVID would not let you, loss of time with family, of reassuring hugs, of a volunteer role in the community, of friends who've moved away, loss of income, of home, loss of confidence that Americans can pull together, loss of faith in any number of things. Then look beneath the surface of the losses, John teaches, the losses that are easy to identify, to recognize the losses connected to them, because each loss carries others. When a spouse dies, a person loses not only the presence of that beloved partner, their laughter, their touch, their loving presence. One might also lose with them a source of consolation, one's sole confidant, the person who could help one lift out of spirals of depression. Might lose the only person in the world who knows some of one's stories. Might lose social connections if the person who died was the one who always arranged the meals and the parties and the getting out to concerts. Might lose the person who handled all the finances, the person who smoothed over troubles with one's adult children. Might lose one's chief cheerleader and source of hope. There are always ripples of losses. For today's water ceremony, I invite you to begin, or to go another level deeper, to take a moment to reflect and to name for yourself what is lost in your life, what is no longer present, no longer available, no longer possible. I invite you to do this not because it's the end of the story, but because it's the beginning. I invite you to type into the chat one of those losses that you have recognized or discovered recently or discover in this moment. Beth and I will read them as a litany, a prayer of sorts, while Cheryl, Siobhan, Randy, and Lindsay pour water into this beautiful communal bowl shared with us this morning by Kathy McLeod. In this past year and a half, or in these recent months, what have you lost? What is no longer present, no longer available, no longer possible, no matter how much you might want it to be? Time.
Loss of free-flowing water from our well, loss of confidence that we have water security at our home.
The love I never got over.
My sister, says Jenny.
May Lawrence is missed by both of us, Marilyn and Iris.
Gail, part of my sense of purpose when my husband died.
My sister-in-law of 60 years, says Cheryl.
my shop and my confidence in my health, writes Joel.
Loss of a dear friend.
My mother, Mike.
I've lost the ability to give back to others in person.
The ability to see my grandchildren.
My loving uncle.
My sense of ease when seeing the faces of people in public. The loss of sharing smiles with strangers.
Two dear friends. Easy closeness of family and friends.
John Prime.
Loss of connection with my friends and UUCM community. 4 years now without my beloved mother, who I miss more than ever, with so much going on in the world.
Confidence in our sense of national purpose and hospitality.
Loss of Cynthia and Marionette, friends to talk to.
The freedom to speak with my son about the pandemic.
Loss of physical contact and hugs from friends.
Loss of my mother's stories and spiritual guidance. Loss of Scott's mom's solid strength and anchoring for the family.
The loss of ease of breathing. Do you have anything you want to read?
The loss of security.
Loss of safe travel to the East Coast to be with family.
Loss of a job.
The loss of functioning knees.
Lack of energy for a garden.
Loss of singing with others in person for a while longer yet.
Loss of sense of direction and purpose.
My health. Loss of just sitting and sharing space and conversation with my dad.
Loss of live music playing, of concerts, dancing with other people in person.
For these and many more, I invite you this week to keep exploring the ripples of those losses. Discover what's truly lost as a way to help ultimately reach an understanding of what's possible. I invite each of you to pour one more pour of water into our common bowl for all that remains. Thank you. It is a sacred list, is it not? From one heart to other hearts. In this sacred space, in this sacred moment, the naming of your losses blesses us, gives witness to each other's losses, and links us where our grief overlaps. It is true in Gail's words from early in the service. We feel both empty and we feel too full of what we don't want. It is also true, as Gail writes, that we are a tap from which others can draw. We are community. In the midst of our grief and our shared witnessing, we will recognize this morning the shared healing waters that even our grief and our tears feed. We're going to take time to look into each other's eyes. For any of you who are willing to be seen, to be spotlighted for a moment on the big screen so that you can wave or nod or bow or smile or express care or simply look quietly toward us. I invite you to raise your Zoom hand if you know how to do that, or to raise your very real hand until you see yourself on the big screen for a moment. And just to let you know, when you're spotlighted so that we can all see you for a brief moment, a little box will likely pop up on your screen asking you a question, but you may ignore it completely. There's nothing you need to do with it. We won't see that box on our end. Simply look past or through it to the camera on your computer or phone or pad. If you're willing, offer your caring gesture, your glance, your presence. As we share in this visual communion, I invite you to sing along with Jordan, if you wish, a song that will be familiar to those of us who play the Life Calls Us On recording from last spring. There is a healing in this night, in these eyes, in these hands, in this heart. If you're willing to be seen this morning, I invite you to raise your hand in one way or another.
There is a healing in this night. There is a healing in this night. There is a healing. There is a healing. There is a healing in this night. In these eyes, there is a healing. In these eyes, there is a healing. In these eyes, there is a healing. There is a healing. There is a healing. healing in this night. There is a healing. There is a healing. There is a healing in this night. In this night. In this night. In this night.
Oh, that was beautiful to see.
I'd like to also acknowledge the person on the iPhone. Unfortunately, we don't have a camera for you, but we see you.
Beautiful, beautiful. It was what was wonderfully fun is that it made it a little bit difficult to tell who was raising their hand because everyone was waving so beautifully. There is indeed a healing in these eyes, in these hands, in these arms, in these very particular hearts. This week I encourage you to take time to remember that, these eyes, these hands, these arms, these hearts, even as you take time to discover deeply your own personal set of losses and make that list of what's truly lost. Again, not because it's the end of the story, but because it is the beginning of the journey towards seeing possibility. We'll take the second step next Sunday. Meanwhile, may you remember these eyes, these hearts, that despite how it may feel right now or in your challenging hours, you are not alone. May it be so.
As I zoomed into the UUCM services each week, I realized this is a church I want to support in as many ways as I can. The thoughtfulness of the services, the welcoming and inclusive nature of the congregation, the commitment to social justice, and the challenge to bring my complete self, mind, spirit, and heart. Well, I was hooked pretty quickly. One way UUCM embraces possibilities is by supporting a nonprofit organization each month that shares our values and is doing vital work in our community. In partnership, we uncover new opportunities and accomplish more than we ever could as individuals, or even as a congregation. This month, our Pass the Plate partner is Color Me Human. If you heard Tracy Pepper, its founder and executive director, speak last week, you no doubt remember her warmth, passion, and vision. Color Me Human is a true grassroots organization that is a growing, dynamic, and much-needed force in Nevada County. Its mission is to celebrate, elevate, educate, advocate, to create a safe, equitable world for Black, Indigenous, people of color, and LGBTQ folks.
Although we're not passing the basket in person, your generosity remains essential to our ability to sustain the work of our community. There are several ways to contribute. You may text an amount to 833-579-0483, give via our website at uugrassvalley.org, via PayPal at paypal.me/UUCM, or mail to UUCM 246 South Church Street, Grass Valley, California, 95945. Thank you.
Thank you for your generosity. We dedicate these gifts to the work of creating a safe, equitable world for all, starting right here in Nevada County.
Well, every service has a lot of moving parts, but today was one of those that had many, many thanks to everyone. Thank you, Cheryl, for being a brand new worship associate and doing it so beautifully. Yeah, feel free to make noise in the room. Beautifully before the service as well as during the service. Thank you. And Gail for being such a beautiful mentor as well as chair of the team. Beth for being our chat host, our steady, faithful chat host. Bob and Gary for being, Gary Lauer is there with Bob this morning. Yep, working on the sound. Linda Siska for the beautiful setting. To Jordan Thomas Rose for music, and on the recording, Janet and Kate joined as well. To Siobhan Boylan, Lindsay Dunkel, Randy McKeon for being part of our team this morning and offering both words and playful drama. Thank you. And to Corey Silva, who works behind the scenes, as well as everyone above who helps all of this happen. I invite us to sing together another song that's familiar if you've been listening to the recording from the spring. Life calls us on, and indeed it does. I invite you to join in body and in spirit as we sing.
Joyful pilgrims now we rise. Life calls us
drawing once again on the words and wisdom of both Greg Pelly and Leslie Takahashi. And so we have gathered from the ebb and flow of our lives, thirsty for connection to ourselves, thirsty for connection to others, thirsty for connection to the larger life. We have gathered as many drops, each winding our own path down life's surfaces and ruts. Here we have pooled together as a single body, flowing together for a time. Yes, even on Zoom. Together we are a stream, at times even a river. For with our shared force, we can travel toward oceans of meaning and seas of connection. As we extinguish this chalice, may all who have gathered here be filled with compassion and love. Here may we be filled to overflowing, even now, so that we may pour ourselves from the abundance out into the world. So may we be. I invite you to share this community benediction, remembering these hearts and arms and eyes and hands. Together, let us carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again. Join us next Sunday. We'll pick up the thread of discovering possibility with whatever comes next. A couple reminders that on Thursday evening is a justice night with a group looking to help stop the mind. Come learn more. Now's your great chance. The Women's Circle meets tomorrow evening on Monday. Join in, look for information if that interests you. And there's a poetry reading and music, in fact, next Sunday afternoon, organized by Ruth Gail. Please join in.
And get ready. If you haven't already and you want to be seen, you can turn on your camera at any time. And in a little while, we'll be unmuting everyone so you can say hello to each other. There's breakout rooms. You'll be invited to choose. Oh, you know what? I never made the breakout rooms. Well, I'll make them now. But you can talk amongst yourselves while I'm doing it. And here's a list of those breakout rooms that are soon to be created. Whoops.